The stars looked cold from the edge of known space. Rella sat quietly inside her small silver ship, staring at the dark void ahead. She was an envoy from the planet Verelsent, to investigate strange signals coming from a long-forgotten moon. Moon was known as Greylan Neen. Long ago, it had been marked as a danger zone. No one visited it anymore. All maps labeled it with red lines and a single warning. Varnak presence confirmed. Avoid. The Varnak was not just any beast. It was a creature made during the Great Galactic War, bigger than a starship with claws. That could crush metal in a roar that could melt nerves. The Varnak was feared across 100 systems. Even machines stopped working near its presence disrupted energy fields. Every species knew one thing. If a Varnak appeared, you ran. But now, after many years of silence, a signal had come from Greylan Neen. A steady, soft beacon. Not a distress call, not a warning, just a calm, repeating pulse. So the council sent Rella. Her silver eyes narrowed as she neared the moon's surface. Instead of ruins, she saw light structures, towers, even greenhouses. There was life here. She landed her ship near what looked like a human-made building. The landing area was clear. No defenses, no traps. Rella stepped out of her ship slowly, scanning the area. The air was breathable. The temperature was mild. Wind moved gently across the rocky surface. Birds, small and robotic, flew overhead, like guardians with metal wings. But it wasn't the peaceful environment that shocked her. It was what stood in the open field ahead. A human, and beside him, the VAR. No, she froze. The creature was massive, twice the size of her ship. Its dark scales shimmered in the sun, and its claws looked sharp enough to cut through stone. But it wasn't roaring. It wasn't destroying. It was Calm the human. Stood next to it without fear. He was tall, with a dusty coat and a simple tool belt. He looked more like a farmer than a warrior. He turned, noticed her, and raised a hand in greeting. "Hey there," he said. "Didn't expect company." Rella didn't move. Her translator clicked inside her ear. Varnak made a low sound, almost like a purr. "You're human?" she asked, finally stepping closer. The man nodded. "Name's Dale? You must be from Virel." She nodded carefully, her eyes never leaving the beast. How are you alive?" "That's a Varnak." Dale glanced at the creature. "Yeah, he's called Rook. You gave it a name? Rella?" Almost whispered, "Of course he deserves one." This was madness. No one could go near a Varnak and survive. Entire fleets had been destroyed by one. And yet here was a man-a-human not only standing beside one, but talking about it like it was a friend. "I thought this place was abandoned," she said. "It was," Dale replied, "till I came here." She scanned the area again. "You built all this?" "Took some time," he said. "The land is good. It's quiet. Rook helps." Rella's mind raced. "You live here? With that thing? It hasn't attacked you?" "Not once." "How?" Dale scratched his chin, then pointed to a nearby bench. "Why don't we sit? I'll explain. You look like you've been flying a long time." Rella hesitated, then nodded. She followed him to the bench, still watching the Varnak. Rook laid down in the grass a few steps away, like a giant resting dog. Its eyes glowed softly, but not with anger, more like calm interest. Dale poured 2 cups of something warm from a flask and handed her one. Rella held it, unsure if she should trust anything here. But she needed answers. "You're not afraid?" "Of him?" she asked. "I was," Dale said honestly. "The first few weeks were rough, but he wasn't hunting. He was lost. Lost. Yeah, I think the war ended and he had no one left. No commands, no enemies. Just silence." Rella thought about that. The Varnak were built by machines long gone. Okay, they were weapons without a master now. "So I stayed," Dale continued. "Watched him from far, studied his behavior. I noticed. He avoided loud noise, slept near water, like the heat from solar panels." "You studied him?" "Not as a scientist, just as someone trying to understand." Rella was quiet. She had seen humans before, loud, stubborn, clever. But this one, he was different, calmer, curious. And now, she asked. We're friends, I think, Dale said. He listens, comes when I call, brings back scrap from the hills sometimes. It's when I play music. You tamed the most dangerous creature in the galaxy. With music? She said in disbelief. Dale chuckled. No, I didn't tame him. I just saw something others didn't. Rella looked at the massive creature again. Rook was lying peacefully, its breath steady, its eyes half closed. The Varnak, the destroyer of fleets, the nightmare of stars, was resting beside a human. Not because of power, not because of fear, but because of trust. She looked back at Dale, and something inside her shifted. Maybe humans were more than just survivors. Maybe they were understanders, and maybe, just maybe, they were exactly what the galaxy needed. Rella couldn't stop staring at the creature. Rook the Varnak was lying peacefully beside a small hill near the base. His large eyes blinked slowly like a creature resting after a long day. The deadly monster she had feared her whole life was acting more like a gentle pet. She looked back at Dale, the human who somehow lived beside it without fear. How long have you been here? She asked. Almost 3 years, Dale replied, though for the first few months I didn't sleep much. Rella looked around at the clean pathways, growing plants, and solar towers. It didn't look like a military base. It looked like a quiet home. You built all of this alone? Mostly I used parts from old crash sites nearby. Some drones still worked. I repaired them. She walked slowly across the field, watching Rook from a safe distance. What made you come here? No human is allowed in this sector? Wasn't. Sent here. I chose to come, Dale said, walking beside her. Back on Earth, I studied alien ecosystems. Everyone thought I was wasting my time. But you came to live with a creature that everyone fears, Rella said. I didn't come to control him, Dale replied. I came because I wanted to know the truth. You always heard stories how the Varnak was only made for killing. But stories are often just noise. And what is the truth? She asked. Dale looked at Rook, then back at her. The truth is he didn't attack me even when he could have. He was hurt, tired, alone. I think he wanted peace, just like me. Rella was silent for a moment. In her world, peace was something taught through rules, training, and control. But here it seemed different, natural, like the wind or the trees. Dale pointed to a small panel fixed to a tree. That's where I first tracked his movements. I noticed he followed a pattern, same places, same time, almost like routine. Mapped his behavior? Yes, he liked to be near heat during cold hours and near water in the warm cycles. Once I left food out protein blocks. He didn't touch them for days. Then one night they were gone. You fed him. I tried, Dale said. Later I left music players near where he stayed. One played soft earth songs. Next morning, I found it moved but not broken. He had picked it up and dropped it closer to my hut. Rella blinked in surprise. So, you think music helped? I think it was the first thing he didn't see as a threat. She turned again toward Rook. But why is he still here? He could fly away, destroy nearby systems, go wherever he wants. He doesn't want to, Dale said. He's not a weapon anymore. He's free, but he chose to stay. Rella looked at the sky. My people won't believe this. Say it's a trick. I figured that might happen, Dale said. But I'm not hiding anything. That's why I sent the signal. I wanted someone to see. She raised an eyebrow. You sent the signal? Dale nodded. Didn't expect it to bring an official. Thought maybe an explorer or two. Well, you got an envoy, she said, half smiling. I'm glad it was you, Dale replied. You listened. They walked slowly across the field. Rook raised his head, watching them, but making no move. His eyes were calm, like a sleeping lake. Has he ever changed? Gone wild? Rella asked. Dale paused before answering. Only once. A storm came through. Lightning hit one of the solar towers. The sound. It reminded him of something. Maybe battle, he roared, broke part of the wall. But when I called his name, he stopped. You called him? Shout, I didn't run. I stood still and said, Rook, it's all right. He looked at me for a long time. Then he walked away into the hills. Came back 2 days later. Rella looked down at her hands. Her people trained for years to face danger. They learned how to fight, how to command. But Dale had done something else. He had understood. You're not like the others, she said softly. Dale shrugged. Maybe I'm just stubborn in a different way. They sat under a tall tree, leaves rustling above them. Rella opened her datapad and began recording notes. What? Will you tell your people? Dale asked. I don't know yet, she admitted. If I say I found a human living peacefully with a Varnock, they'll think I'm joking. You can bring someone, Dale offered. Let them see for themselves. No, she said quickly. If too many come, it could scare him. Nodded. You're right. Rook doesn't like too much noise. A gentle sound rose in the distance. Rella turned to see Rook playing with something. It was a large piece of metal, curved like a bowl. He tapped it with his claw, creating a low, musical hum. He plays music, Rella asked. Sometimes. I think he likes the sound. They watched in silence as the great beast created simple, deep tones that echoed across the empty moon. It didn't sound like a monster. It sounded like someone trying to speak in the only way he knew how. Rella stood up. I need time to think, of course, Dale said. I'll stay for one more cycle, then return. You're welcome to stay as long as you like, Dale replied. As the two walked back toward the base, Rella felt something shift inside her. She had come to see a monster, but instead she had found a human, a creature, and something far more powerful than weapons or science. She had found understanding. Rella stayed one full cycle on the moon. Every day, she watched the human named Dale and the Varnock he called Rook. What she saw continued to surprise her. Dale treated Rook like a companion, not a creature. And Rook, who once terrified the galaxy, acted with quiet understanding. Each morning, Dale checked the solar panels and repaired small machines. Rook followed him at a distance, like a silent guardian. Sometimes he would sit in the sun, still and calm, while birds landed on his massive back. Rella had never imagined a Varnock could show such peace. That evening, she sat by a fire Dale had built outside his base. The sky above them was full of quiet stars. The moon had no cities, no traffic, no noise, just wind, stars, and the deep. The sound of Rook breathing nearby. I still don't understand, Rella said, holding a warm drink in her hands. How can something built only for war become this calm? Dale placed a metal stick into the fire, watching the small sparks fly. Don't think he was made just for war, Dale said. That's what they used him for. But that's not all he is. Rella looked at the beast, resting under a large stone arch near the trees. They said the Varnock couldn't feel pain. They didn't think, just followed orders. They were wrong, Dale said softly. He feels. I saw it in his eyes the first time he looked at me, not like a weapon, like someone alone. Rella listened quietly. He didn't attack you? No, Dale replied. The first time we met, he was injured. Something sharp had cut through his side. He was bleeding dark blue. I stood far away and tossed a med pack toward him. And he let you? He growled at first. But then he stopped, sniffed the pack, then took it. Ella leaned closer. What happened next? I kept coming back. Not close, just near. I'd bring food or music or just sit quietly. He watched me for days. Then, one morning I woke up and he was sitting outside my shelter, not moving, just waiting. Waiting for what? I think he wanted to understand me too. Rella looked down at her hands. In her world, fear was natural. He avoided danger, followed orders, and never approached creatures like the Varnock. But Dale had done the opposite. He didn't try to control him. Dale shook his head. The mistake everyone made. They tried to control the Varnock with weapons, chains, commands. But no one ever tried to ask what he wanted. Rella watched as Rook shifted his weight, stretched his wings, and then laid back down. What does he want? She asked. I think he wants what all of us want, Dale said. To be free. Right. To belong. To feel safe. They sat in silence for a while, the fire crackling softly. Then Rella stood up. "I want to see more," she said. Dale smiled and stood as well. "Come with me." They walked through the trees, following a narrow path lit by small ground lights. After a short walk, they reached a clearing. In the center was something strange, a sculpture, made from broken metal, stone, and old parts. It was shaped like a circle, with arms reaching out and twisting toward the sky. "Did you make this?" Rella asked. "No," Dale replied. Did Rella stepped closer. The structure was beautiful in its own way, rough, but full of purpose. She could feel something behind it. Not just strength, but sadness. "He started building it 2 months after I arrived," Dale explained. "He'd carry pieces here, stack them, change them. Sometimes he'd growl when something didn't fit." "Why would he build this?" she asked. "I think it's his memory, or maybe his way of speaking." Rella placed her hand on the cool metal. "He's trying to express something, yes," Dale said. "Maybe loss, maybe hope." The clearing. Rella turned quickly. Rook had appeared at the edge of the trees, watching them. His large eyes glowed gently. "It's all right," Dale said. "He just wants to be near." Rella took a small step forward. Rook didn't move. She looked into his eyes, and for the first time, she saw intelligence. Not wild, not violent, just deep, silent thought. She didn't go closer. She only nodded once. And Rook, the galaxy's most feared creature, nodded back. Later that night, as Rella returned to her small room. Inside Dale's base, she recorded a message in her private log. "The Varnak is not what we believed. It thinks it learns. It feels, and a single human discovered this. Not through power, but through patience and care. We may have judged too quickly. Maybe we are the ones who need to learn." She saved the message and looked out the window one last time. Rook lay beneath the stars, his wings folded, his head resting against the earth, and in that quiet moment, Rella didn't feel fear anymore. She felt hope. Rella woke early the next morning. The sky above Greylanine was a soft shade of violet, and the wind moved gently across the tall grass near the base. She stood by the window of her small room, looking out toward the trees. Rook was already awake. Great Beast stood still under the sunlight, his wings stretched wide. A light breeze passed through them, and the scales on his back shimmered like black glass. He looked peaceful, like a creature no longer hunted or feared. She had never imagined this was possible outside. Dale was placing fresh solar panels near the edge of the garden. A small drone hovered beside him, helping carry tools. Rella joined him a few moments later. "Good morning," she said. "Morning," Dale replied with a smile. "Sleep well?" She nodded. "I've been thinking. Galaxy needs to see this. They need to know what you've done." Dale looked toward Rook. "I agree. But they might not believe it." "They don't have to believe," she said. "They just need to come and see. I can call someone I trust. Someone who listens." Dale paused. "One person, too many." "Come at once. Rook might feel threatened." "Understood," Rella replied. She opened her communicator and sent a quiet private message through her ship's long-range system. The words were simple. "Peace confirmed. Send Watcher, not Warrior." The message traveled silently into space, but what Rella and Dale didn't know was that someone else had already noticed them. Far from Greyland Noon, in the deep black of space, a small pirate ship moved slowly between stars. Its name was the Driftclaw, and its captain Morrow was known for collecting rare and dangerous things. When his scanner picked up strange life signals from Greylanine, he smiled. He had heard stories of the Varnak. Everyone had. But if one really was enlivened, if someone had made it tame, then it could be caught, controlled, and sold. Morrow's crew listened to the intercepted signal Rella had just sent. "She's calling for someone," said a tall alien with green skin. "Good," Morrow replied. "That means there's something valuable down there. Ready the nets and plasma chains? We're going hunting." Back on Greylanine, Dale was working with Rella to install more protective cameras around the edge of the base, not to spy. Dale explained, "Just to watch the skies. I like knowing if anything's coming." Rella nodded. "Smart. No one else should land here without your permission. But later that day, the camera near the northern ridge went dark. Dale frowned when the screen blinked off. Could be a rock slide, he said, standing up. I'll check the signal, Rella said. She moved to the console and typed commands, but the camera didn't come back. Then a soft alert beeped. A ship had entered the atmosphere. No ID, no signal code, no landing request. Dale's expression changed. Someone's coming, he said, voice firm. Your signal didn't invite them, Rella said quickly. They're not from my side. Dale grabbed a small bag with tools, a scanner, and a handheld jammer. I'll go meet them. I'll come with you, Rella said. But before they left, Dale turned toward the open fields and whistled sharply. Rook raised his head at once. Stay near, Dale said loudly. But don't attack unless I call. The massive creature stood, wings folding tight against his back. He followed them slowly, keeping low and silent as they reached the landing zone. They saw the ship the Driftclaw settling on the rocky plain. Its sides were marked with deep scratches and strange symbols. Dale narrowed his eyes. This doesn't look like a science vessel. The ship opened, and 5 figures stepped out for tall. Armored pirates and one shorter captain with a long coat and sharp eyes. Well, well, Captain Morrow said. Looks like we found something special after all. Dale stepped forward. This is private land, you need to leave. Morrow laughed. We're just visiting. Heard rumors about a monster with soft eyes. You won't find what you're looking for, Rella said firmly. Morrow looked at her. An alien guest. This gets better. Then he turned toward the hills. His eyes scanned the field. Where's the beast? You won't find him, Dale said. Oh, I think I will. Morrow pulled out a control stick and pressed a button. From their ship, for flying drones launched into the Eyrie, one equipped with net guns and electric pulses. Dale's heart raced. They're hunting him. Rella stepped back and tapped. Her communicator, alert sent. Varel's ship on standby. But she knew help was hours away. Suddenly the air shifted. A shadow moved above the trees. Rook had seen the drones. A loud growl filled the sky. The ground shook. The pirates looked up just in time to see the massive wings open wide. The Varnock had come. Rook landed in front of Dale and Rella with a crash that sent dust flying in every direction. His tail swept across the ground. The drones aimed at him and fired nets flew through the air. Rook roared. The nets hit, but snapped apart before they could wrap around his body. The electricity sizzled against his scales but did no harm. One of the drones shattered as his tail whipped through it. Call him off, Morrow shouted, drawing a laser weapon. Dale stepped forward. Rook, stay, called out loudly. The beast paused. His chest rose and fell. He looked at Dale. Only defend. Don't destroy, Dale said slowly. Rook growled low, then turned toward the remaining drones. He didn't attack. He stood like a wall of stone between Dale and the pirates. This isn't over, Morrow hissed. We'll be back with stronger nets. Not if the galaxy hears what you tried to do, Rella said, recording everything on her wrist screen. Attacking a peaceful outpost, threatening an intelligent creature. That's a crime. Morrow's crew hesitated. He growled, then turned. Fall back. Within minutes, the Driftclaw was gone. Rella turned to Dale. You didn't let him fight back fully. You would have crushed them, Dale said. But that's not the lesson we're teaching. As night fell, Rella sat beside the fire again, watching Rook's large form resting near the trees. Today, she said quietly, the galaxy changed a little more. Dale nodded. Yes, but the real test is still coming. Rella looked at him. What do you mean? I think your people will come next. And they might not just bring questions, but weapons. Rella's eyes stayed on the stars, and for the first time she felt afraid for the humans, not the beast. The sky above Greylanine turned orange as the sun lowered behind the hills. The wind was quiet. The base stood still, but the peace was thin, like a string pulled too tight. Rella sat inside the communication room, staring at a message flashing. On the screen, The Varel High Council had received her report, her words, her recordings, and even the footage of Rook protecting instead of attacking. Everything had been sent, but the reply was short and cold. Creature too dangerous. Human too involved. Extraction mission approved. Military ship arriving in 18 hours. Do not interfere. Ella's hands tightened around the console. They weren't coming to study. They were coming to take. She walked outside.
Ow.
Where Dale was checking. Damage from the pirate attack. A broken drone lay in pieces near the fence. He was replacing wires with quiet focus. They're coming, she said. Dale looked up, wiping sweat from his forehead. Who, my people? The council. What kind of ship? A battleship. Dale stayed quiet for a moment. Then he asked, how much time? Less than a day. He stood up slowly. Are they coming to ask questions? Or to shoot first? They won't believe Rook is safe, Rella admitted. Even after everything. Dale looked toward the trees. Rook was lying near the sculpture again, gently pushing stones into a circle with his claws. The great beast didn't look dangerous. He looked thoughtful. He's done nothing wrong. Dale said, he's protected us, even held back against those pirates. I know, Rella said. And they'll see you as part of it. Then I guess we have to prepare, Dale said. That night, the two worked in silence. Dale activated shield grids around the base. Not weapons, just energy fields to stop scanners. Rella checked her communicator again and again, hoping for a change in orders, but none came. Rook watched them from the shadows. He didn't move much, but his eyes followed every step. Later, Dale walked to him. Rook, he said quietly, placing a hand on the creature's shoulder. Others are coming. They might not understand. They might try to hurt you, Rook made. A soft, low sound, not angry, not afraid, just aware. Dale looked into the golden eyes. If anything happens, don't fight unless I say please. The Varnak blinked once, then he lay his head down beside Dale, like a silent promise. By morning, the sky cracked with light. A low rumble shook the ground. Rella and Dale stood outside the base, watching a large ship descend through the clouds. The virile military ship was sleek, silver, and sharp-built for speed and force. It landed slowly, dust rising around it. Dozens of armed soldiers stepped out, followed by Commander Theric, a tall Varelian with steel-gray skin and a voice like ice. Rella stepped forward. Commander Envoy Rella, he said, not smiling. You've disobeyed by staying too long. I've stayed to learn, and what you've learned is dangerous. Rella pointed toward Dale. This human has done what no species in the galaxy has done. He made peace with a Varnak. Theric's eyes narrowed. Impossible. And look for yourself, she said. Dale stood calmly by the garden. Rook was not far behind him, still and quiet. Theric turned to his soldiers. Prepare. Stun cannons. No, Rella said firmly. Let them speak. Theric raised a hand and the soldiers paused. Dale stepped forward. You don't have to believe me, just watch. He turned to Rook. Come. The giant beast walked forward, slow and silent. His heavy footsteps shook the dirt, but his eyes remained gentle. He stopped beside Dale and sat down like a trained animal. Not one weapon was raised. Gasps moved through the soldiers. No one had ever seen a Varnak obey. Ever. Rella turned to Theric. He isn't a monster. He's proof that even the most feared beings can change if treated with respect. Theric frowned. This could be a trick. Rella stepped closer. It could be the beginning of something new. But just then, one soldier's weapon beeped. Sir, the soldier shouted. Energy spike detected. Something's powering up near the west ridge. Theric turned. What now? An alert flashed. On Rella's wrist. She tapped it quickly. It's them, she said. The pirates. They're back. A second ship dropped from the sky, not smooth and silver, but dark and rusted. The Driftclaw had returned. Morrow's voice echoed over loudspeakers. Thought I'd try again. Thanks for gathering everyone in one place. Plasma nets launched into the air, aimed directly at Rook. Chaos broke loose. Rook roared not in rage, but in warning. The soldiers raised weapons. Dale ran forward, Rook shield. He shouted. The creature spread his wings wide, blocking the nets. They bounced off his armored back. One drone flew low. Rook swiped it out of the sky in one smooth motion. Morrow landed his ship and stepped out, holding a new weapon, a long energy spear. Step away from the beast, he shouted. Theric turned to his soldiers. Defend the Varnock. For a moment Dale thought he had heard wrong, but Theric shouted again. This is our moon. He's under our protection now. The Varel soldiers opened fire not at Rook, but at the pirates. Beams of blue light lit up the field. Explosions shook the ground. Dale pulled Rella behind a rock. I didn't expect that, she said. Neither did I, Dale replied. When the dust settled, Morrow's ship was wrecked. The pirates were captured or gone. Smoke rose into the sky. Rook stood in the center, unharmed. Commander Theric walked toward him. Slowly, carefully, he stopped a few steps away and looked into the great creature's eyes. This changes everything, he said quietly. Rella stepped beside him. Yes, it does. Theric turned to Dale. You've done something no council, no army, no science lab could do. You earned his trust. Dale nodded. I didn't ask for control, just respect. Theric raised his voice. From now on, this place will not be touched. No hunting, no stealing, no orders from above. This is neutral ground. Rook growled low, but calm, and for the first time in history, the galaxy's most feared creature stood. Protected not by power, but by peace. The morning light spilled softly across the hills of Graylin Neen. Birds with metallic feathers flitted quietly between the trees, and the air was calm and fresh. It was a peaceful moment, one Dale, Rella, and even Rook seemed to treasure, but peace, they knew, was fragile. Commander Theric stood near the base's main gate, speaking quietly with Rella and Dale. His face was serious, but his eyes carried a hint of respect. The council has decided, he said. This place will be off-limits to all fleets. The Varnock will be protected under a new treaty. Rella smiled, relief softening her features. That is good news. Nodded, but he was still cautious. Protection on paper doesn't always stop those who want power. Theric sighed. True, but it is a start. Rook rested nearby, watching with golden eyes. The great beast's calm presence seemed to soothe even the stern commander. Suddenly, an alert sounded from Rella's communicator, a new message from the council. She opened it carefully. Further orders. Dale must come to the Galactic Council. For questioning, Rook is to be secured and examined. No exceptions. Dale's jaw tightened. This is not what we agreed, Rella said, frowning. I won't go, Dale said firmly. If they want to understand Rook, they need to come here. Won't let them take him away. Theric looked between them, conflicted. I will speak with the council again. They are strict on protocol. Rella placed a hand on Dale's shoulder. There's another way. What? She looked toward the hills where Rook stood. If you don't want to fight them, maybe you don't have to. Maybe you can show them the truth. Dale's eyes met hers. Show them, yes. Invite them here. Let them see how Rook lives, how you live together. Dale thought for a moment. It's risky, but worth it, Rella said. If they come with open minds. The next day, Dale prepared for visitors. A small delegation from the council would arrive, scientists, diplomats, and a few guards. But to learn, at least that was the hope. Dale worked quietly, making sure everything was ready. He cleaned the base, checked the solar panels, and placed fresh water bowls near Rook's favorite resting places. Rella helped by sending messages to nearby ships, asking them to hold their positions. No surprises. When the delegation arrived, they stepped carefully onto the moon's surface. Eyes wide with wonder and suspicion, the leader, a calm woman named Kira, stepped forward. Thank you for inviting us, Dale, he nodded. You will see what I see. They walked together through the base. Rook followed silently behind, calm and watchful. Kira stopped before the metal sculpture. He made this. Dale smiled. Yes, it's his voice. The scientist looked amazed. Inside the main room, Dale showed them his tools, notes, and recordings of Rook's behaviors. I did not train him with commands or weapons, Dale explained. I listened, I learned, and I shared my trust. Kira nodded slowly. This is unlike anything we expected. Outside, Rook played quietly with a large stone, nudging it gently with his nose. The delegation watched in silence. Suddenly, a loud noise echoed from the edge of the forest. Everyone turned. A group of armed soldiers appeared in unscheduled patrol, sent by the council's military wing. They raised weapons toward Rook. Kira shouted, "Stop! This is a peaceful mission." The soldiers hesitated but held their ground. Rook growled deeply, his wings spreading wide. Dale stepped forward. "Rook, stand down." The beast lowered his wings slowly, but kept his eyes on the soldiers. Kira turned to the soldiers. "Stand down. You will not harm him." After tense moments, the soldiers lowered their weapons. Dale exhaled. "Thank you." That night, Dale, Rella, and Kira sat around the fire. "The council fears what they do not understand," Kira said quietly. "But your work has shown them something different." Dale looked at Rook, resting near the firelight. "This is just the beginning." Rella smiled. "Humans have a way of surprising others." Kira nodded. "They do." But Dale's thoughts were far away. He wondered what the future would bring for him and for Rook. Would the galaxy accept a creature once feared? As a monster? Would they accept the human who had shown them peace? The questions filled the quiet night. The next morning, Kira stood before Dale. "The council wishes to offer you a place," she said. "A chance to join us, as an advisor, someone who can teach others to see what you have seen." Dale blinked in surprise. "I don't want power," he said. "I want peace. And peace requires courage," Kira replied. "Will you come with us?" He looked toward Rook, who watched him with steady eyes. Finally, Dale nodded. "I will go, but Rook stays." Kira smiled. "Agreed."
Yes.
The delegation prepared to leave. Rella stepped aside with Dale. "You changed the way the galaxy sees monsters," she said softly. He smiled. "Maybe the galaxy changed me too." They watched as the ships rose into the sky, and on the moon Rook stretched, his wings wide, once more free, safe, and no longer feared. The Galactic Council ship soared through space, carrying Dale and the delegation away from Grey Lanine. Rella stood on the moon's rocky surface, watching the silver ship disappear into the stars. Her heart was heavy but hopeful. She turned back toward the base, where Rook rested under the sun. The great Varnock looked peaceful, his huge body stretched out in the warm light. No chains, no fear, only freedom. Rella knew this was just the start. Inside the council ship, Dale sat quietly. His mind was full of thoughts about what had happened on what was to come. The council was powerful and slow to change. Some members wanted to keep Rook locked away as a weapon, a trophy. Others, like Kira, believed in Dale's vision. Dale felt the weight of the future on his shoulders. "How can I help them see what I see?" he wondered. Days passed. Dale met with council members, sharing stories, videos, and evidence of Rook's gentle nature. He spoke of trust, patience, and respect. Some listened, some doubted, but slowly. Walls began to fall. Meanwhile, back on Greyland 9, Rook explored his world. He wandered through the fields and forests, sometimes carrying large stones to the sculpture he had built. Though alone, he never felt lonely. He was free. One evening, Rella sat by the fire, her thoughts drifting to Dale. She had sent a message. "Dale, how are you?" The reply came quickly. "Learning. Hope is growing." Rella smiled. The galaxy was changing. One human, one creature, one story at a time. Months later, a small group of scientists arrived on Greyland, not soldiers, but friends. They came to study, to learn, and to protect. Rook greeted them quietly. Curious but calm, the scientists set up labs near the base and began working closely with Rella. Together, they discovered new ways to understand the Varnock species. They found that these creatures could feel emotions, solve problems, and even communicate through music and movement. At the same time, Dale had become a respected member of the Galactic Council. He worked tirelessly to change laws, to protect creatures like Rook, and to teach others about the power of trust. One day, Dale returned to Greylanine. Rella waited at the landing pad, her smile wide. "Welcome home," she said. Dale looked around at the green hills, the soft breeze, and the quiet life. He was home. Together, they walked to the sculpture. Rook was there, as always, waiting. When Rook saw Dale, he rose slowly, moving toward him with gentle steps. Dale reached out his hand. Rook nudged it with his nose. The bond between them was unbreakable. Rella watched quietly. "This is more than peace," she said softly. "It is hope," Dale nodded. "A new way for the galaxy." Stood together looking at the stars and far beyond. The galaxy listened, because sometimes the greatest strength is not in power or weapons, but in the courage to understand, to care, and to believe. The end.